It's 6 a.m. in New York City. The local news flashes a dramatic headline: matcha shortage leaves cafes scrambling. America's green tea craze reaches new heights. The voiceover is urgent. What happens when America wants more matcha than Japan can make? A worried cafe owner shares: "We ran out of matcha by noon. Customers are asking for it non-stop." The reporter nods, holding a half-finished matcha latte. The energy is electric, almost frantic, as if a new gold rush is underway. The green wave is everywhere, on drink menus, in beauty products, and across social media. This is not just a trend, it's an obsession, and it's pushing the entire global supply chain to its limits. As headlines fill with stories of shortages, price hikes, and even matcha scams, one question grows louder: can Japan keep up? Walk into almost any American cafe today, and you'll find matcha on the menu. It's not just tea. There are matcha frappes, matcha pancakes, and matcha protein bars. Grocery store shelves are stacked with matcha snacks, cereals, and even matcha-flavored chocolates. The demand for matcha has exploded in just a few years. This green powder is everywhere. Social media has played a huge role, with influencers showing off bright green lattes and matcha mornings routines. Big coffee chains now offer matcha drinks as bestsellers. Smaller cafes try to stand out with their own creative twists, like matcha coconut milk or matcha chia puddings. Sales numbers back up the hype. Imports of Japanese matcha to the US have doubled and tripled in recent years. New matcha brands pop up all the time, promising authentic or ceremonial-grade powder. For many Americans, matcha is more than a drink. It's a lifestyle, a health statement, and a visual treat. But as the trend grows, so does the pressure on Japan to deliver. Producers in Japan are seeing orders like never before. The question now is, can supply keep up with this runaway demand? To understand matcha's journey, we have to start in Japan. Matcha is not just a food or drink there, it's a tradition that goes back centuries. The Japanese tea ceremony, or chanoyu, uses matcha at its heart. It's a ritual of careful preparation, quiet respect, and deep focus. Matcha comes from special shade-grown tea leaves called tencha. Farmers cover the tea plants with dark nets for weeks before harvest. This makes the leaves sweeter and richer in flavor. The leaves are then hand-picked, steamed, dried, and ground into a fine, bright green powder. Each step is done with care and attention to detail. Drinking matcha in Japan is about more than taste. It's about connecting with nature, respecting the farmers, and honoring an ancient art. In temples, schools, and homes, matcha is shared as a symbol of hospitality and mindfulness. For many Japanese people, matcha is sacred, a link to ancestors and history. But this slow, careful way of making matcha is very different from the fast-paced American market. The two worlds are now colliding, and Japan's traditions are being put to the test as they try to meet modern demand. In theory, matcha should be a huge business for Japan, but in reality, Japanese farmers are struggling. The biggest problem is labor. Most tea farmers in Japan are over 65 years old. Young people are leaving rural villages for city jobs, so fewer hands are available to tend the fields. Matcha farming is hard work. It requires careful hand-picking, shading, and grinding. These steps can't be rushed or done by machines without losing quality. Many farms are family-run, and traditions are passed down through generations. But now, there are fewer young people to continue the work. Climate change is also making things worse. Unpredictable weather, stronger typhoons, and warmer winters damage fragile tea crops. Some regions have lost entire harvests to heavy rains or frost. Farmers must constantly adapt to these new challenges. Strict rules also limit how much matcha can be made. Japan has regulations to keep quality high. Only certain regions can produce real matcha. This protects tradition, but limits supply at a time when the world wants more than ever. With matcha in such high demand and supply so limited, prices are rising fast. In the past, only tea masters and connoisseurs paid premium prices for ceremonial-grade matcha. Now, even basic matcha powder costs more in both Japan and the United States. Importers compete for limited supplies. Some US cafe owners say they pay double what they did just a few years ago. Shoppers in America see smaller tins and higher price tags. Japanese farmers make more per kilo, but honestly, many say the stress is growing. They can't simply increase production overnight. As prices climb, some companies look for shortcuts. Low-quality matcha, sometimes mixed with green tea or even food coloring, floods the market. Scams and fake matcha become a real problem. Consumers must learn to tell the difference between real Japanese matcha and cheaper imitations. The pressure is felt on both sides of the ocean. Japanese farmers worry about losing control of their traditions. American buyers are frustrated by shortages and higher costs. The market is strained, and well, something has to give. Not all matcha is created equal. Traditional Japanese matcha is made from the youngest, shade-grown leaves. It has a rich, smooth taste and a bright color. Every step, from shading to grinding, is carefully controlled. The result is a silky powder prized for its flavor, texture, and health benefits. American companies have started growing their own matcha, often in California or Hawaii. These new farms use different methods. Some try to copy Japanese shading techniques, but, the climate and soil are just not the same. Others use machines to speed up harvest and grinding. The difference really shows in the product. Japanese matcha is sweet, vibrant, and frothy. American matcha can be more bitter, dull in color, and less smooth. Some buyers choose price over quality, but true matcha fans can definitely tell the difference. This divide shapes the market. Japan's strict standards keep its matcha special, but also limit how much can be made. American matcha is easier to find and cheaper, but purists still crave the real thing from Japan. Picture a quiet morning in Uji, Japan. Elderly farmers move through rows of tea bushes, covered in black nets to shield the tender leaves from the sun. Each leaf is checked by hand, then quickly steamed and dried in small wooden sheds. At the mill, granite wheels slowly grind the dried leaves into powder. The air is filled with a sweet, grassy smell. Thousands of miles away, in a bustling Los Angeles cafe, a barista scoops emerald green matcha powder into a bowl. She adds hot water and whisks it vigorously until it froths. Customers snap photos as their drinks are poured into clear cups, the green swirling against creamy milk. The journey from farm to cup is long. Matcha is shipped from Japanese ports, carefully packed to stay fresh. It travels across the ocean in refrigerated containers. In America, it's unpacked, labeled, and rushed to cafes hungry for the next big batch. Every step has its challenges: weather, labor, shipping delays, customs checks. But the demand keeps growing, and the matcha keeps coming, if only barely fast enough. Looking ahead, Japan faces a tough choice. To keep up with demand, some farms are considering new technology or less traditional methods. There are experiments with machine picking, new shading materials, and even growing matcha outside Japan. But each change risks losing the unique taste and meaning of traditional matcha. Some farmers hope young people will return to tea farming, bringing new ideas and energy. Schools and local governments try to support this with training programs and subsidies. Others worry that, if nothing changes, Japan's matcha fields could disappear entirely. Exports may continue to rise, but so will pressure to compromise on quality. Some fear that matcha could become just another global commodity, losing its special place in Japanese culture. Others see hope in a new generation of tea lovers who respect tradition but embrace change. The world is watching. What happens next will shape not only the matcha market, but also Japan's identity as the home of this ancient green treasure. The matcha boom is not slowing down. If anything, America's obsession is spreading to Europe, Australia, and beyond. This worldwide love for matcha brings both opportunity and risk for Japan. On one hand, farmers can earn more and keep the tradition alive. On the other, pressure for more and cheaper matcha could push out the very qualities that make Japanese matcha unique. In the end, matcha is more than just a drink. It is a symbol of care, patience, and respect. As global demand grows, Japan must balance tradition with innovation. Perhaps there will be new ways to make matcha without losing its heart. Or perhaps, the world will learn to slow down and appreciate matcha the Japanese way, one careful cup at a time. One thing is certain: the green wave has changed the world. But Japan's matcha, made by hand and heart, remains at the center of this story, struggling, thriving, and always in demand.